Ladies and gentlemen, there is a silent war happening within you, a battle not seen with the eyes, but felt every single day between impulse and intention, between chaos and control. Mastering your mind is the beginning of mastering your life. The mind is a powerful tool, but when left unchecked, it can become your greatest obstacle. Every decision, every reaction, every word you speak begins first as a thought. If those thoughts are negative, undisciplined, or driven by fear, they will shape your behavior in ways that lead to regret, stress, or self-destruction. Many people believe they are in control, but their lives are directed by unconscious emotions, old habits, and impulsive thoughts. They don't respond to life, they react. They are pulled in every direction by fleeting feelings, opinions of others, and inner narratives that are often false. The mind becomes the master, and they become its servant. When your mind masters you, it fills your head with doubts when you need courage. It brings up your past when you're trying to move forward. It speaks with the voice of your inner critic, louder than the voice of your wisdom. It becomes addicted to comfort, to noise, to distractions, making silence unbearable and discipline impossible. It convinces you to delay the important for the sake of the urgent. It tells you that you're not ready, not capable, not worthy. And if you believe it, you start living small, shrinking from opportunities, sabotaging your progress, and justifying it all with the excuse that this is who I am. But this is not who you are. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. You are not your mind. You are the one who can train it. The same mind that can create fear can also generate courage. The same thoughts that once destroyed your peace can be reshaped to build your inner strength. Mastering the mind means stepping out of automatic patterns and choosing conscious presence. It means observing your thoughts without becoming them, questioning your beliefs, and intentionally redirecting your focus. It means replacing self-doubt with self-discipline and choosing action over excuse. This control doesn't happen by chance. It requires daily training. Just like the body, the mind must be exercised. Meditation, silence, reflection, breathwork, and consistent practice of mental stillness are not spiritual luxuries. They are survival tools in a world full of noise. When you take time to be still and observe what's happening within, you begin to see how your thoughts jump from one thing to another. You begin to realize how often your reactions are based on fear or ego, not wisdom. And in that realization, you find power, the power to choose differently. Mastering your mind is not about suppressing thoughts or emotions. It is about understanding them, facing them, and then deciding whether they deserve your energy. It's the discipline to not let your thoughts control your tongue, your actions, or your future. Because once the mind becomes your servant, your life begins to move with clarity, strength, and purpose. You are not your thoughts or emotions. This realization is one of the most liberating truths you can discover in your life. Thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall, yet your awareness, the observer within you, remains constant. Many people live their lives trapped in the idea that what they think and feel defines who they are. They say, "I am angry," or "I am anxious," as if their entire identity has become that temporary emotion. But anger is something that visits you. It is not who you are. Anxiety may pass through your experience, but it is not your permanent state. When you become entangled in your thoughts and emotions, you begin to react rather than respond, and your clarity becomes clouded. Imagine your mind as a sky and your thoughts and emotions as the weather. The sky can be calm or stormy, filled with light or covered in darkness, but no matter the weather, the sky itself never disappears. It is always there, untouched, waiting. In the same way, your awareness is always present beneath all the inner noise. You might experience sadness, but deep inside you is a place that is not sad. You might feel frustration, but there's a deeper part of you that is still, that is watching. That silent witness is your true self. When you learn to separate yourself from your thoughts and emotions, you begin to understand that they are simply experiences, not definitions. This separation gives you power. Power to pause before you react, power to observe without judgment, power to ask, is this thought useful? Is this emotion pointing me toward truth, or simply arising from a past wound? Without this awareness, emotions can hijack your day, and thoughts can carry you far from the present moment. You may find yourself stuck in imaginary conversations, regretting the past, fearing the future, or building false narratives about yourself and others. But when you observe your inner world without attaching to it, those thoughts lose their control, and emotions become signals instead of chains. True strength comes when you no longer allow every emotion to control your decisions, when you don't fight every thought, but you also don't follow every one blindly. You learn to breathe through anger instead of exploding from it. You learn to sit with sadness instead of drowning in it. You learn to gently let go of unkind thoughts rather than believing they define your worth. This is the foundation of emotional intelligence and mental clarity. The mind generates thousands of thoughts each day. Most of them are noise, habits of thinking built over years. Emotions, too, are often the result of patterns, not truths. Just because you feel fear doesn't mean you're in danger. Just because you feel doubt doesn't mean you're incapable. With awareness, you gain the ability to step back and recognize, this is just a thought, this is just a feeling, it will pass. And with that recognition, you reclaim your inner peace and power. Words are not just sounds or symbols. They are energy, carriers of intention, and creators of reality. What you say can shape the direction of your life and the lives of others. A single sentence can inspire courage or plant doubt, heal wounds or create them, strengthen bonds or break them forever. The words you speak reflect the state of your inner world. If your thoughts are chaotic, your words will follow. If your heart is disciplined, your speech will be thoughtful, calm, and intentional. Every word is a choice. And once spoken, it cannot be taken back. It echoes, it lingers, it leaves an imprint that often outlasts the moment. Most people speak to be heard, not to understand. They speak from ego, not from awareness. They react in conversation rather than respond with clarity. When emotions take control, the mouth follows and words become weapons, sharp, reckless, and hard to forget. But true strength is in restraint. Wisdom is knowing that not every thought deserves to be spoken, and not every silence must be filled. The wise don't speak more, they speak less, but every word carries weight. They know that power doesn't always come from saying the most, but from knowing when to say nothing. There is great responsibility in speech. What you say to yourself shapes your identity. Constant self-criticism becomes belief. Doubt repeated aloud becomes a barrier, but so does encouragement. Speaking to yourself with discipline and respect builds inner strength. Your self-talk either feeds your growth or starves it. What you say to others also reveals your character. Are your words used to uplift, to guide, to support, or are they used to tear down, to impress, to control? Every conversation is an opportunity to either bring light or add to someone's burden. The habit of careless speech is common in today's world. People speak without listening, argue to be right instead of seeking truth, and post without thinking of the impact. But words matter. They leave marks long after they are spoken. The tone you use, the timing, and the intent behind your words, these are all part of their power. Discipline over your mouth is a form of emotional intelligence. It means knowing how to pause when angry, how to communicate boundaries without hostility, how to express emotion without causing harm. Even one kind word can shift the direction of someone's day. One sincere compliment can heal years of silence. One moment of honest expression can repair a broken relationship, but the opposite is also true. One careless insult, one lie, one outburst can destroy what took years to build. That is why your speech must be trained with the same seriousness as your body and mind. Speaking with wisdom requires awareness, and awareness is only possible when you've created enough inner stillness to observe your emotions before they control your tongue. You don't need to speak all the time to have a voice. You don't need to win arguments to be understood. Choose words that align with truth, respect, and intention, and you will find that people not only listen, but remember. Silence is often misunderstood as weakness, passivity, or lack of confidence. But in truth, silence is one of the most powerful forms of discipline. It requires strength to remain still when the world around you demands reaction. It takes wisdom to hold your tongue when your emotions urge you to speak. Silence is not the absence of words. It is the presence of self-control. It is the space where awareness lives, where reflection is born, and where wisdom begins. In moments of chaos, it is not the loudest voice that holds power, but the one that chooses to pause, observe, and understand before responding. In silence, you meet yourself. Without the distractions of noise, opinions, and external validation, you are left with your own thoughts, fears, and truth. And this can be uncomfortable, which is why many people run from silence. They fill every space with sound conversations, music, scrolling, talking, anything to avoid being alone with what is inside. But growth happens in that quiet space. You cannot understand your inner world if you are always running from it. Silence allows you to see clearly what noise often hides: your intentions, your insecurities, your unresolved emotions. Practicing silence builds patience. When you learn to pause instead of reacting, you make better decisions. You give yourself space to process instead of being pulled by impulse. You begin to understand that not everything needs a response. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Not every situation needs your voice. There is power in walking away without saying a word. There is strength in letting silence speak on your behalf. Sometimes the most powerful message is sent through stillness, not speech. Silence also teaches you to listen, not just to others, but to life itself. When you are silent, you become more aware of your environment, more sensitive to energy, and more connected to your intuition. You hear the truth behind people's words. You notice what is not being said. You sense the emotions others are hiding. This depth of perception is only possible when your mind is quiet enough to receive, not just project. In conflict, silence can be a shield. It protects you from saying something you'll regret. It disarms the other person's aggression by not feeding it. It gives you time to assess what's really going on, rather than getting caught in emotional turbulence. Silence creates space, and space creates perspective. And in that perspective, you find clarity and strength. In a world that constantly demands your attention and reaction, choosing silence is a radical act of control. It is not about avoiding communication, but about elevating it. When you finally do speak, your words carry more weight because they come from a place of calm, not chaos. Silence sharpens your awareness, strengthens your presence, and reminds you that stillness is not empty. It is full of potential. It is a choice, a power, a practice. Those who master silence do not lose their voice. They refine it. Money is often misunderstood as a simple measure of success, power, or comfort. Many believe that having more money automatically means having a better life. But the truth is, money is not just about how much you earn. It is about how well you manage, respect, and use it. Money reflects your discipline more than it reflects your income. Two people can earn the same amount, but one lives in peace and stability while the other lives in stress and chaos. The difference is not the paycheck. It is the mindset, the habits, and the self-control behind how money is handled. Discipline with money is not glamorous. It is not about showing off wealth or buying what you want whenever you want. It is about restraint, planning, and prioritizing. It means knowing the difference between needs and wants, being able to delay gratification, and understanding the long-term impact of short-term decisions. Many people chase money thinking it will solve their problems, but without discipline, More money simply means more opportunity to waste, more responsibility to mismanage, and more pressure to maintain an image that doesn't reflect reality. Money is a mirror. It reveals how you think, how you feel about yourself, and how much control you have over your impulses. If you spend recklessly, it's often not because of income, but because of emotional spending, lack of planning, or a desire to escape discomfort. If you live paycheck to paycheck, it might not be a matter of low income, but of undisciplined habits. When you are financially disciplined, you make intentional choices. You build savings not out of fear, but out of clarity. You invest in your future not because you're afraid of struggle, but because you respect your time, your work, and your energy. Every dollar you spend is a decision. It is a vote for the kind of life you are building. Are you buying things that improve your growth, health, and stability? Or are you constantly trying to fill an emotional void with material things that lose their value the moment you own them? Financial discipline requires honesty with yourself. It requires confronting your insecurities, healing your relationship with money, and breaking free from the need to impress others. True wealth is not measured by what you show, it's measured by what you keep, how you manage it, and the peace it brings you. Being disciplined with money doesn't mean being cheap or afraid to enjoy life. It means spending with intention, earning with purpose, and aligning your financial habits with your core values. It means not letting outside pressure dictate your lifestyle and not allowing comparison to make you feel like you're lacking. The more control you have over your money, the more control you have over your freedom, your choices, and your future. Money can serve you or enslave you. It all depends on whether it is guided by discipline or by desire. Freedom is often misunderstood as doing whatever you want, whenever you want. Many believe that freedom means having no rules, no limits, and no restrictions. But true freedom is not about indulging every desire. It is about having the power to choose wisely, to say no when necessary, and to act in alignment with your values instead of being a slave to your impulses. Freedom is not found in the absence of structure. It is found through self-control. When you lack self-control, your decisions are not truly yours. They are dictated by emotions, habits, urges, and external pressure. You may feel free in the moment, but over time, those uncontrolled actions lead to regret, dependency, and chaos. Self-control is the ability to pause, reflect, and respond with intention rather than react out of emotion or impulse. It is the power to delay gratification, to resist temptation, and to choose discipline over comfort. When you build self-control, you begin to live with purpose. You stop being driven by your cravings and start being guided by your commitments. You make choices based on where you want to go, not based on how you feel in a fleeting moment. That is real freedom, the ability to direct your own life instead of being pulled by things outside of you. Without self-control, freedom quickly turns into slavery to distraction, addiction, and inconsistency. You may have time, but you waste it. You may have money, but you spend it without thought. You may have talent, but you never sharpen it. You may have opportunities, but you sabotage them. In this way, a lack of control becomes a silent cage. You move, but without direction. You act, but without depth. You live, but without growth. Freedom without discipline leads to disorder, and disorder robs you of peace, focus, and progress. When you train self-control, you take your power back. You begin to govern your emotions instead of being governed by them. You stop chasing quick rewards and start building long-term stability. You set boundaries not just with others, but with yourself. You recognize that your time is sacred, your energy is limited, and your choices are shaping your future. You realize that saying no to what you want now is often saying yes to something greater later. The more you exercise this ability, the stronger it becomes, and the more inner freedom you experience. Freedom is not about escaping responsibility. It's about owning it fully. It's about standing firm when everything around you tempts you to compromise. It's about walking your own path, even when it's difficult, because you are not controlled by fear, pressure, or the opinions of others. Self-control doesn't restrict your life, it sharpens it. It doesn't limit your expression, it elevates it. With every decision rooted in self-control, you build a life of intention, peace, and power. You're no longer reacting to life, you're responding with clarity, direction, and purpose.